right. Good morning, everybody. This is Coffee and Pan Dulce with the best crew in Charlotte, and we have a really special series of guests today. So happy to have you here. So raise your cups and take a sip of that sweet, sweet, delicious New World Brew coffee.
Well, thank you, Stephen. I'm actually visiting a friend of mine in Atlanta to help with the special election, and all he has is Iowa State coffee mugs. So I'm going to have to throw him some props today, but I couldn't find anything else. So welcome everyone to Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Mama Ruth Perez, who will be joining us momentarily. She actually has children that she has to shuttle back and forth for virtual learning and school, so she's running a little late today. I want to welcome you who are joining us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us on YouTube later and also on Facebook later on at your leisure, probably with a glass of wine, a glass of cerveza, or whatever you do. We don't judge here. We are going to be talking about the end of 2020. It has finally come to an end. The name of the show is Goodbye 2020, Bless Your Heart. Those of us who live in the Charlotte region and also probably most of the South know what bless your heart means. And so we are saying bless your heart 2020. But we also have a special show today because I am actually broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia. The very important Senate race is going on, as you can see from some signs behind me that I was given by some great people here that are doing some incredible work. I'm missing a sign up there, which is letting some of the sun come in. And we want to talk to them, give them some time, probably about 15 to 30 minutes, because I know they have a lot to talk about. And so, as we always do on Coffee and Pan Dulce, we've already saluted to the Coffee and Pan Dulce a little early, but let's go around the Brady Bunch screen. Please introduce yourself in 30 seconds. Also introduce your imaginary buttons, and then we will get directly into the show. And when you do that, that allows us to share this show on all of your social media platforms. So who's got a Brady Bunch screen up?
I do. I have my Brady Bunch screen up. So
okay.
It'll be me, Mr. Aaron Ortiz, Barbara, you, and then Mama Ruth, and then former Mayor Jennifer Roberts.
Excellent. So
I'll start with myself.
Go ahead.
I'm Stephen DiFiore. I am the recording secretary of the Libertarian Party of Mecklenburg County, an associate of Christian Cano, and a fellow traveler and helping making our community and our governments better and more responsible. I'm also pretty handsome. Your turn, Mr. Aaron.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm Aaron Ortiz. I'm an attorney, partner of a legal firm down in Norcross, Georgia. We attend, obviously, immigration, focusing Latino, but we have been very, very passionate for the human rights and to try to create a better environment here in Georgia for the LatinX community. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Good morning, I'm Barb Bacon. I'm a healthcare advocate here in South Charlotte. Bringing buttons on today, it would definitely be Black Lives Matter. And we see that there's some new issues for the Breonna Taylor shooting. That's, I think, good news for everyone. And I'm healthcare for all. I'm trying to go more with the Biden group, which I have stated before, and I'm totally committed to that. And I'm actually helping a person that's just become a citizen get proper health care. So Mama Ruth next.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry I was late. I'm here actually in my car doing the program. As everybody calls me, Mama Ruth. I'm Ruth Perez, a community advocate for the city. I'm also a co-host for Coffee and Pan Dulce. I am a proud Latina, colored. So I do go for Black Lives Matters, as we run by a risk every 24/7 around the world, not only in the United States. And I do support now our women's associations where we want and demand equality. Also guns reform. We need some gun sense reform in our country. And I'm part of different boards throughout our city. So I'm happy to be here. Next.
Mayor Roberts.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, good to see you all. I'm former Mayor Jennifer Roberts, also former Mecklenburg County Commissioner, currently working on climate change with a nonprofit called Eco America. And we are looking forward to 2021 when we will no longer have a climate denier in the White House. We've got a North Carolina representative, Michael Regan, who is going to head up the EPA. We're very excited about that. He's been a national leader on climate justice. And one of the things that we know is that when it comes to low-income communities of color, they have been disproportionately impacted by toxins and pollution over the centuries that they have borne the worst impacts of climate change, that they are in the low-lying, often flooded areas, in the extreme heat areas, the whole energy burden. All of these things are a big challenge in terms of environmental justice and climate justice. And so we're looking forward to having Michael Regan head up the EPA. And the folks that President-elect Biden has put in place to help with climate are truly experienced professionals who know what science is and follow it. And it's all about helping get people out of poverty as well, because these things are all connected. And I love the talk about healthcare, because we know that environmental health and people's health are intricately connected, and that we need to pay attention to the broader spectrum of issues, not just one issue at a time. So I'm all about breaking down those silos. So I continue to be, and like Mama Ruth, I'm on a lot of boards and commissions in the Charlotte area still, even though I work with a national organization. And so I am very pleased to be here today. I thought I was going to be listening, but I guess I'll be talking too.
Sorry about that, Mayor.
Thank you so much. And we have one more person who's just joined us today. America, would you like to introduce yourself and give us a little 30-second intro on who you are and what you're all about, and your issues, and if you have a button, what your button would be?
Well, my name is America Gruner. With the Coalition of Latino Leaders in Dalton, Georgia. And our main issue is immigration, because we have suffered locally detention, persecution, and we are fighting for that and to be treated with dignity. So our button would be mainly immigration, that is tied to many things: health, education, access to services. So we have been here in Dalton for 15 years, and we are a grassroots organizations that we are working as a community directly affected by this.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Stephen. I'm Christian Cano, once again, one of your co-hosts of Coffee and Pan Dulce. Obviously, my buttons are Medicare for All, which is on this side, I believe. I also support Moms Demand Action, as Mama Ruth talked about gun sense legislation. Those of us who are gun owners are not against the Second Amendment. We're against responsible gun ownership. And that is something that the Moms Demand Action really stresses: education, preventing suicides, making sure your child, when they visit someone else's house, understands, is there a gun at that house? Basic security things that we do all the time. Also, I'd like to support and give a shout out to the Latino Victory Fund. It is a PAC that you're welcome to donate to, since we're going to be talking about some issues. Also, Voto Latino. There's so many wonderful groups out there that have started, and maybe some of our guests can tell us what they're doing here in Georgia. So we want to spend a couple of minutes before we talk about the end of 2020, because I'm sure we're all very happy that the 2020 is ending. I think we're going to learn a lot from 2020. But before I do that, I do have to pay homage to baby Trump Pinata, who is joining us from Charlotte, from my living room. He is still wearing his Christmas hat. He's still wearing his mask. He's doing something much better than his dad has ever done. He's got a copy of the Constitution. He's got a Moms Demand Action thing. And at one time he had a Cynthia Wallace for Congress thing, but you know, he tried to do what he could. And so we do want to welcome baby Trump Pinata, because Justin, maybe you can tell me, Barbara, how many days until inauguration? 21 days. He's going to be broken. So he's a Pinata, and he's got a lot of candy in there. Dr. B has got some champagne that we're going to pop and safely wear a mask, and we're going to break the Pinata. So we've been waiting for years. It's going to come. All right. With that said, I'd like to talk to our guest about what's going on here in Georgia. When I came in on Sunday, I saw the signs. I went to Gwinnett County, which is a very heavily Latino population that's grown in that area. Also went to Cobb County, spent some time in Fulton County, saw the canvassing, the activists, saw that great bus that's out there. So who would like to start, who is actually in Georgia? 30 seconds or less, if you don't mind. Tell us what you're doing in Georgia and how this impacts our Latino community or Latinx community, whatever term you want to use, Hispanic community. How is this impacting you? And the reason this is so important is because what you're doing in Georgia impacts my family in North Carolina the day after that election. So we're very, very concerned about our interest in. So who would like to go first? America?
Yes.
Ladies first.
Gracias, Aaron.
A tus órdenes.
Well, we have been working in voting mobilization and education since 15 years ago, but this time we are 2 hours away, or at least an hour and a half away from Atlanta, and so it's very different in local communities than it's in big cities. And for us, it has been this time for the runoff, for our community to understand how the Congress is structured and what a senator is, because for many people don't know and why is this important this time in Georgia. And also to educate them about the candidates, because they just hear Loeffler, Warnock, and for who's what. So we have been working, providing education canvassing here in Dalton. And also we have been motivating women to vote, celebrating the 100 years of women's rights to vote. We're doing a lot of things, and we have also a live Facebook. It's called Tomando Mi Café also. So we are doing a lot of things for that, but it's mainly educating our people, and it's not only this election, but to work continuously, helping our people to understand how this system works.
Christian, you're muted.
Christian, I believe you are muted.
For your protection, I did that earlier. Mr. Ortiz, or Aaron, that you've given me permission to call you, the population here in Georgia is growing just as it is in North Carolina. How important is this election for our Latinx community, our brown community, or Hispanic community?
Well, actually, we can make the breaking point because the population grew from 2000 to 2010 around 96%, which means that right now we have around 5 million voters in November, which was 3% were Latino, and 60% voted for President-elect Joe Biden. which is very, very important because we are very young population here. We have just first generation, and we try to engage the youth people that they have a much better diversity understanding because they have friends from different races to grow up the community and help even their parents to make them understand the importance to go out and vote if you are US citizen. On the other hand, if your parent is not a US citizen, we encourage that parent through social media. We host Facebook Live on Thursdays. I try to do a brief resume on the White House on Fridays, just 3 minutes, to keep the people informed what's going on in politics and to encourage by the time that you can register. We were campaigning to register here in the office, people talking with the parents, talking with the kids, to encourage them to work together, and the importance that in this runoff is not about to get one candidate from Democrats and one candidate for the Republican. We need to get the two Democrats candidate on the Senate because my bottom is immigration reform. We need immigration reform because we need to take out of the shadow the people that they deserve a lot just to be relaxed and have a good life.
Sure. Well, you know, everything that you're saying is for those of us who live in the Charlotte region and are involved in North Carolina or North Carolina politics, it sounds exactly what we're going through. And that's one of the reasons I thought it was important to come to Atlanta or to Georgia, just as I went to Virginia when they flipped it to blue, was to find out what they're doing, because so many times I can speak to what I have seen in Georgia, I mean, in North Carolina politics. North Carolina politics, they don't really, they're not really excited about going out to see what other people are doing. It has to come from them. And in the business world, we never do that. Whenever we have a challenge or whenever we have something that we're trying to accomplish, we go out and see what other people are doing, and we take some things that are working and take some things that aren't working. And so I'm just anxiously waiting for the leaders in Charlotte and the leaders in, I'm a Democrat, in the Democratic Party in North Carolina, to say, I don't know everything. Let's go out to Georgia and find out what they're doing. Let's tell them what we're doing. And then let's take what they're doing and use, because it sounds exactly the same challenges that we're having in North Carolina. And we have to share that information. Texas went through what we're going through 3 decades ago. What did they do wrong? Because the Republicans monopolized their Hispanic community, and it's taken a generation for them to become Democrats again. California did it differently. Arizona did it differently. New Mexico is a very different way of doing things. Colorado is doing differently. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say and how you're treating this issue. So, you know, another thing that I'm curious about is, do you realize, and I'm sure you do you realize how important just y'all's votes are for all of us? It's just amazing how much, I don't want to put you under pressure.
Yep. Actually, during the governor campaign, the last season, we were talking with Stacey Evans, and she was asking, how can we promote the vote through the Latino community? And the idea, because this is, we brought to this country all political culture from our countries, which is useless, because we don't know, we don't vote, we don't used to vote, because sometimes we don't believe on the electoral authority and all those kind of things. There are a lot of things to discuss about that. So my idea was, we need to try to reach the young people. And from there, take the parents, bring them here, and go out and vote. But we need to be focused with the young people. Why? Because they talk in high school, since elementary school, middle school, college, with other friends from different backgrounds, and they have a much better understanding about the participation in an election season. And apparently that is the key issue right now, to keep working with the young people, to encourage them to go out. If you are not 18, if you are not registered, even if you are a dreamer, you can participate, promoting, canvassing, knock the door, spread flyers, all those kind of things, even carpooling in the election day. It was the number that there have been right now 3.1 million people that they already cast the vote in advance.
Wow.
So it's very important that we realize that young Latinos will be decisive for this election, for this runoff. And the good thing, I'm sorry, the good thing is most likely they are liberals, they are Democrats.
Yay.
That was gonna get me into a question that I had. In your activism and getting out the vote, is it, you know, mostly sort of do you approach new voters in a nonpartisan way, or do you your organization, folks who work for you, wear their partisanship on their sleeves? Are there specific policy issues that you guys say, hey, here's something that's up for a vote, this politician is in favor of this thing, the other politician maybe not so much? Do you bring that to the fore, or is it just more like neutral voter registration? It's important to vote. Let's help you get to the polls. How does that work, like the nuts and bolts of it?
Well, I will say that it's tricky, because for the voter registration, to promote that people go out and vote, we don't take any side. However, personally, my partners, and most likely all in this office, we are Democrats, we are liberals. And we try to encourage the people and to vote for whoever they want. But to point it out, the differentiation between the Republican agenda, the Democrat agenda, and the good thing, again, with the young people is that because they see how there is the struggle from their parents, they literally born Democrats, because they see how La Migra is affecting them, how the G28 agreement affects their life, how driving without license in Georgia is unlawful. So all those kind of things, we can try to stand on the middle, but show them the result being Republican or being Democrat. This is it's tricky. It's tricky, but we try to our best to try to show them what is the result of that position.
Let me get America to jump in, because we're going to be running out of time on this segment. But America, I know you guys are doing a lot of really good work, and you've been doing work in areas of Georgia for many, many years. As a matter of fact, when I was telling people you were going to be on the show, they all knew who you were. And it was, oh yes, you know, she's going to be, she's a leader in the community. What, tell me what I mean, are y'all doing anything special the next couple of days before the election? Is there something we need to know about?
We are still canvassing, and on Saturday, we're gonna remind people, we're gonna post posters in the grocery stores, and we'll keep publishing on Facebook. And I don't know if I have time just to mention that for us, it has been a different experience. We have young people that are engaged, but because we have suffered, like I said, locally, the immigration persecution, a lot of people that are old like me, they are very excited to vote. And sometimes we have citizenship classes since 15 years ago too. And so people who are sometimes 70 years old, they're so proud of voting for the first time, because they know the struggle of becoming a citizen, and they see the community. So I think it's important to focus on the youth, but also don't forget about all people that are really, really wanting to participate and be taken into account, and also women. When we started the campaign for women this year, they were, because also culturally, if you are an active woman, they see you as scandalosa, and so it was very, very effective to focus also on women and let them know that we are a very important part of the community.
Well, madam, I do hope that you'll go back on our YouTube page and archives and watch the show where we talked about Latinas and how they run our families. Mama Ruth and can tell you that all of us who've grown up in big families, the Latinas really, they are the influencers in our families.
Yep.
And that's why I think it's wonderful that you're going after the youth, because they are the influencers in younger immigrant families, just as white suburban women are influencers in their families. Whatever the white suburban women does, their husband just goes along with it, which is why most people focus on white suburban moderate women, is because there's such an influence in their election. So that, I think that's a really good strategy. Does anyone want to add anything else before we jump to the next topic? We do have
Yeah,
someone from
I'll say that in my household, I don't wear the pants. I'm sorry. No.
Well, especially during Zoom, I don't know if anyone's wearing pants. So we'll.
I'm glad you recognize that having a Latina next to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stereotype of strong women from Durango, and yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, well, you know, our culture is just so not only beautiful, but it's just so wonderful and unique. And it also depends on, you know, where, you know, we talk about this all the time. Being Latinx is not, Mexican Latinx is different from Guatemalan or Cuban or, you know, or Puerto Rican. You know, we all have similarities, but there's also differences in cultures and how things are done. But one thing I would like to suggest as we end this segment here, because we want to wait till the AFL-CIO labor people jump on, and they're probably going to be jumping on in a little bit. But I would really like to see, if y'all have the opportunity, what I was noticing was I didn't see a lot of crowd canvassing when I was here the last couple of days. And what crowd canvassing is, and I don't know if you've thought about it or if that's something y'all have decided it's not worth it. The Trump campaign and the Bernie Sanders campaign, they have perfected crowd canvassing. And what they do is they pick 5 of the busiest street corners in the city, whether it's in a Latino community or whatever community, and they literally stand on that corner with signs and American flags, and they do it for 1 hour, and they get everyone honking and, you know, and just, it's called crowd canvassing. And when the NFL and the NBA games were on, they would crowd canvass in front of those. You would see at the Panther Stadium, the Trump people with their signs and the Bernie Sanders people with their signs. And it really gets people excited about just kind of getting out to vote. So if y'all are willing to crowd canvass, I'm willing to go to 5 major intersections, whether it's Gwinnett County, Cobb County, Fulton County, Buckhead. I'll stand out in Buckhead with whoever wants to join me. We can talk about this off the record, and I've got some flags and some signs, and stand there for an hour and saying, thank you for voting. Vote to, you know, I want people to know that Latinos are out here to vote, and we're proud to vote, because a lot of people don't see that. And I think when they see that, they may get excited to vote. Go ahead, Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you. I'm living in Johns Creek, Georgia. Is part of Fulton County, but is the border with Duluth City, which is Gwinnett. And catch my attention first time ever that there is a spectacular billboard promoting the vote in Spanish. Ooh. No partition, but just saying, sal y vota, tu voto cuenta. Very, very, very nice to see in that area, which is majority white and Asian people, that they realize that lots of people, Latinos, walk through that area all day long. and being a spectacular billboard in Spanish saying, "Sal a votar." This was
Yes.
the change in Georgia we can see right now.
Well, excellent. Well, my offer for crowd canvassing is available. If you guys want to join me, I'm going to crowd canvass tomorrow somewhere. I don't know. I know there's a bowl game out at the Atlanta football field. I may have to go to Buckhead. I want to go to Cobb County, in Marietta, a huge Latino population in Marietta. I want to find some place in Gwinnett, and I will sit there with my cowboy hat, with my American flag, and with my sign that says, "Thank you for voting," because I want our young people to say, hey, we can get just as excited as those crazy Trump people. And so
let's do it.
Crazy, passionate Trump people. Let me just word it properly, because we've had some Trump supporters on this. So I open that invitation. And the reason I say that is you don't have to be in Georgia or be a voter in Georgia to do things like that. If you want to come down here from Virginia for the weekend, be careful, it's COVID. You can help in many, many ways, phone banking, all those kind of stuff. So anyway, that's my little promotion. Anybody else want to say anything? Because we need to jump to the next segment. And I want to thank you both for joining us. Please stay on if you can. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. We should have two other people signing in here very quickly. We started
I just want to put out there, as Latinos, we got to keep in mind, and I've been saying it in the past shows as well, not to move and not to do things at the last minute. We have to get prepared. And this is an ongoing thing throughout every year. It's not just every 4 years for the presidential candidates voting, but we got to motivate our communities, especially our colored communities, because they're so hard to go out and vote. They don't really believe in a change. So we have to motivate them, and we have to do like what Coletta does here in North Carolina, in Mecklenburg. They do teaching, they educate themselves, they educate our community, who is who, what do they run for, all that. If we get the community involved, then we don't have to worry about canvassing at the last minute every voting season. So just out there for Georgia, good luck, and I hope we have a lot of votes this coming up elections.
Yeah,
I was going to put that plug in real quickly that to both of our guests, the Mecklenburg County African American Democratic Caucus, they actually have developed a voting education booklet to educate people. Who's your city council person? How many terms do they serve? Who's your county commissioner? Who's your congressperson? It's almost like civics 101, and it's a really great education, because as you mentioned, many people just don't understand the basics of how democracy works. And they think that they can't be a voice at the table because it must be for someone else. And everyone has the right to run for office and try to have a seat at the table.
And so, another thing, Christian, it's keep close to your candidates. Create a good relationship with, if you know them locally, keep close to them, because you will be a great support as Latinos when we're supporting our candidates that are going to be doing and working for our own community. I am glad to hear that our Larkin Eggleston, again, he's posting and he's running this third season now for city council. He's a great guy. He's on District 1, and I am fully supporting him because he's done a lot also. So that's something very important. I love to see Mayor or ex-Mayor Roberts also, whatever she can run on, I'll be there supporting her, because I know, and I keep it close. I keep close to her on everything that she's doing. And that's something that is important, because our Latinos, our community will see what we're following and what we're doing, and they'll follow us as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Ortiz, you want to say something very quickly?
So well, basically, I want to say thank you for inviting me. It's very, very important. Like Mama, I didn't catch the name.
Mama Ruth.
Mama Ruth. The power is on the women, honestly, and the good thing about working close with your elected official is that they realize the problems that you have. So we need, like Michael Moore used to say in his podcast Rumble, it's just the beginning. We already
Yes.
win as a Democrats, but it's just the beginning. We have a lot of things to do on Congress, and this is why we need to get Mr. Ossoff and Reverend Warnock on the
Yes.
Senate. We need immigration reform. We need to climate change. We need universal health care for all. We need a lot of things to do to help this great country.
Excellent. And former Mayor Roberts, I still call you Mayor Roberts because as far as I'm concerned, you're my mayor. I have missed you over the last 4 years. Our city has gone through so much, and every day I think, God, I wish Mayor Roberts had been here during this time period. So I don't want to knock any current mayor, but I'm just saying is that you were the type of mayor that we needed during this global pandemic. We didn't get it, but thank you for what you did before, and you've been so involved. I've seen you more in what you're doing. So do you want to say something? I don't want to toot your horn too much on here.
Muchas gracias por tu apoyo. Muy tan amable. No, I appreciate that. Appreciate what Mama Ruth said, especially about the continued importance of education and inclusion. And this is something that we see, you know, whether you're talking about housing or education or climate change, that we need to include all the voices. And these issues are constant. During the election season, we have a chance for a choice, but the issues continue. And so that whole idea that Mama Ruth said about staying close to your representative, about knowing who represents you, about understanding that and continuing, you know, they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that is so true. Tu voz es muy importante, because that is what is going to continue to keep the issues that impact all of us at the forefront. And, you know, everything local is so important. You know, you talk to a lot of people, they know maybe who their senator is, but they don't know who their local city council person is. And the city and the county are so important to everyday life. And we need to have more Latino voices because they are incredibly important to our community, to our economy, to our educational system. You know, the fact that we have so many bilingual people, that is a terrific positive. That is so helpful when it comes to understanding other cultures, when it comes to community, when it comes to international commerce, that all those things, you know, they also say that when you learn a language before a certain age, you actually develop more of your brain, right? So it's good for our intelligence. And we should be talking about those positive things with much more frequency. And so it is wonderful to see the Latino voice really coming to the fore. We already have 3 cabinet secretaries who are Latinos, right? It's increíble. So
Amazing.
we are, you know,
Yeah.
Was it education? I'm going to forget them all now, but, you know, Miguel Cordona with is education, Alejandro Mayorkas for Homeland Security, and Javier Becerra for Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
This is going to be, 2020 is going to be a great year. And go Georgia. My one connection to Georgia, I'll say real quick. My son goes to Georgia Tech.
Oh, hey.
And so
The Yellow Jackets.
yes, that's right. And he loves it. It's a terrific university. And, you know, Adelante, Georgia with, you know, Warnoff and Ossoff, we are absolutely going to continue to support that. Thanks for all that work on the ground. It's so important, that one-on-one, that individual support and enthusiasm. So gracias.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, Mayor Roberts, I'm not going to put you on the spot so you can mute yourself, but I'm just going to say that our Latinx community and most of our marginalized communities and most of the communities that I know of, we're waiting for your next move. I know you're very involved in what you're doing now, maybe senator, maybe congressperson, maybe mayor again. You know, I'm just saying we're here for you. So, you know, thank you for everything you've done. You have earned your stripes in our community. So with that said, I want to jump. We're going to move to 2020. You're welcome to stay on the call if you'd like. Or if you'd like to add anything, but we want to go back to our neighbors here and talk about the end of 2020. The title of our show is Goodbye 2020, Bless Your Heart. This has been a very interesting year. And how many of you are happy it's almost over?
I wouldn't say interesting. I would say challenging.
Yeah, challenging is a good way to word it. I would agree.
So Barbara, you have had, those of us who know Barbara, and she's been on our show for 2 years, and this last year has been probably one of the most challenging for Barbara for construction and her house. She has had so much work done on her house.
Barbara needs to write a book to help the neighbors, homeowners.
So Barbara, tell us 2020, are you happy the year is ending, or
I can't wait. We got to move forward, and fortunately all the construction guys are gone and I'm never allowing them back on my property again. I think the hardest thing for me this year, I've had a lot of COVID in my family, and we lost our grandfather in June. And fortunately, everyone else, we're fearful that one niece is going to be a long hauler because that cough never goes away. And she says, stop nagging me, because I worry and pray that she's going to get better. But the challenge is an understatement as far as what's gone on in 2020, I think, for everybody. And I really was interested to hear what Aaron and America had to say, because boy, we need the two Democrats in Georgia to be elected. And I hope that I keep getting the emails from the Biden campaign, because I contributed pretty heavily. Even though I'm an independent, I was for them. And I hope the little bit that I've done has helped, but I can't wait. 21 is a, to me, it's like a light out there shining in, and I can't wait for it to get here. So I hope I'm right.
Yeah. So Stephen, you've had a pretty good 2020. You ran for governor. Got some good votes there. Tell me.
Yeah, I allowed myself to be talked into being the standard bearer so that the Libertarian Party of North Carolina could retain ballot access in North Carolina. So yeah, that was a fun experience. I'll say that one of the fun things about campaigning is the ability to go across the state and meet folks from different communities, from big cities to small towns. One of the first things I did on the campaign trail back in January was door knocking in public housing communities in Wilmington. I mean, it was I heard stories and saw a side of life that is completely kind of sort of alien to how I grew up and what I've experienced. And it's a learning experience. And you say, oh wow, there are real problems that I didn't even know were problems. And, you're left as someone who works in the political field saying, well, what kind of policies can we craft to try to help this out? And that's motivated me and the folks that I work with to try to craft policy that would make life better. Unfortunately, we are always shut out of meetings because we don't, subscribe to the right team, I guess. But hey, you know what? Maybe 2021 will be different. I'm skeptical. I know everyone on this call is either Democrat or Democrat affiliated in some tangential way. And, I personally don't think the Democrats as a party care about us, but the individuals on this call probably do. And I hope that, as grassroots, come up through party structures, that good things will actually happen, whether the people at the top want it to happen or not. So I'll be cautiously Pollyanna about 2021.
Okay, well, Mama Ruth, what do you think? 2020, ready for 2021? And then we'll jump to Mr. Ortiz.
Guys, I can't wait to start 2021. I know it's gonna be probably I'm expecting a little bit challenger as well, but I think with a better experience from 2020, and that makes us stronger. As y'all know, I almost lost my mother back in June. and I've had a couple of losses in our friends' family. So it's been very painful. But like I said, we're still alive. We're still healthy. We're still with our own family here. And we're still protecting our neighbors, which is good. And hopefully, just all I can say is that we got to learn how to stay stronger. I know it's going to be a good one. That's for sure.
Yeah. Excellent. Mr. Ortiz, 2020, you ready for it to end? 2021?
Absolutely. Good things about 2020 was that I did a lot of yoga. I like to run, but one of my partners is a passionate of yoga practitioner, and we did a lot of yoga this year, but it's painful this year. So I'm looking forward to have a much better life with my family, with my people in Mexico, try to travel to go to visit my country in Mexico, to try to visit my country here, to Chicago, to see my friends, to go to Charlotte, to go to see you and shake your hands personally and say thank you for everything that you are doing. And but don't forget that we're gonna have a very, very challenging beginning of the year, because on Tuesday is the runoff election day.
Yes.
So get out and vote if you are here in Georgia, and do it if you didn't do in advance. And the next day, Wednesday, the Congress will cast the vote to declare the President Biden as a President Biden. So we're gonna start really, really, really an excited moment in the history of this country. So thank you, honestly.
Mayor Roberts, you dare want to tell us if you're happy 2020 is over?
Well, you know, one of the things that I always point out to people, because I am a positive person, and I believe that a positive attitude encourages action, right? We all feel better when we're actually doing something, even if it's a really miserable time. If we feel like we're doing something to make the future better, it helps keep our spirits up. We know there are a lot of people suffering from depression this year with good reason, but when we feel like we can do something, then it helps lift us out of that. And humans are much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And when you think about how quickly we turned around our day-to-day routine with when COVID hit, people changed their way that they work, they changed the way they communicate, they bought masks, at least people who believe in science did. And that is an incredible indication that we can survive, we can make it. And I believe, again, in more people getting involved. So I am glad to see 2020 come to an end. I look forward to a bright 2021. We had to go through some really dark times. We went through, protests and so many challenges, but we have come through it stronger. And so I am very optimistic about 2021 and looking forward to the promise of the future and of more voices being at the table with an incredibly diverse federal administration and with more voices being included at the local level. And so I just encourage everyone to be strong.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to go through some of the comments we have on the Facebook live stream from Lynn Mary Silvac. There is tepid political will among NC Democrats to achieve bold change and interference in our primaries, with a sad face. Below that, Magda Solis Granados. I apologize if I'm butchering anybody's name. Muy bien, Bombo, Aaron Ortiz-Santos. Again,
Bonbon, say it
Bon
right.
Bon.
Bonbon.
Oh yeah, Bon Bon. Gotcha. Listen, I'm bilingual, but Spanish isn't one of the other languages. I do apologize. Then there's Irma Sierra Bultas. Lots of clapping. We like clapping. Mary Ledesma.
Maria Ledesma.
Yeah, Maria Ledesma. Yeah, you said it right.
My wife.
But
Okay.
I don't know, whatever that word is.
We can tell it's your wife, Aaron. She's being our cheer lady today.
Oh, gotcha. And then
Ekaterina Rochina. Did you read that one? The very
That's
last
it.
one?
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna
work
have to
permit
scroll.
department from TLA is watching Aaron Ortiz-Santos. Hey, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of comments, and thank you, Stephen, for taking that
Attempting.
chance.
Yeah, attempting.
Usually, Mom,
Lynn Esquilva says, good to see you, Mayor Roberts, with a big heart.
yes. You don't know how many of us miss you so much. Listen, I want to give a special shout out to someone who really helped me when I came into Atlanta. I basically, those of us who've run campaigns or running off for office, Mayor Roberts knows exactly this. We know how crowd canvassing works. How when you want to volunteer for a campaign, they put you for 4 hours canvassing, and then you go, God, why did I sign up for this? And this. So whenever I volunteer to do something, I just show up and say, what do you got? And I'll do this. I won't do this. I'll do this because I want to use my skill set the best way I can. So when I came in, I told Fair Fight I was coming in. They were doing some things. The NAACP, they had some things going on. So I went to the labor people. And I met a wonderful lady, Yvonne Robinson, who is the Secretary Treasurer of the AFL-CIO Georgia area. So helpful, so selfless, gave me signs to put on the back because I told her I was going to be broadcasting from someone's house. She gave me all of y'all's connections. That's how we were able to get Mr. Ortiz through Fernando Trevino from Philadelphia. Also gave me a contact number, and I'm so sorry I was not able to get a hold of him, Mr. Jerry Garcia Gonzalez. Maybe we'll have him once again on the show. I was not able to contact him, but also Brenda Lopez and Representative Moran. I believe they are Latinos who have been elected to the state house. We were hoping to get them on. United here, Kathy Madeline was so helpful. She had a person that was supposed to call in, but I got a text very late. They're doing some promotions with one of the gentlemen from the Senate. So they're doing a lot of crowd canvassing. So all these people were so just wonderful and generous on helping us get this information out. And I really wanted just to let people know that even if you don't live in Georgia, and we hope when we have big races in North Carolina, because we will, you will come to North Carolina, help us any way you can, whether it's crowd canvassing, volunteering for people, phone, all these little things make the difference. And we have to be a little bit more creative during this global pandemic, which is why I'm a big fan of crowd canvassing now. And so, thank you everyone who's doing what they're doing. There's still time to do stuff. Early voting stops tomorrow, which is New Year's Eve. So you can still call your friends, call anyone you know, tell them to get out. If I'm trying to be safe in COVID-19. So I don't encourage, like the old days, we would all just come here and crash at people's houses. You really can't do that today. I had to take a test before I got here, wearing a mask when I'm in the house, when someone's in the house. They have really good testing here in Atlanta. They have same day instant testing. I'm doing that tomorrow. So I'm trying to just stay as safe as I can and protect people. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. I think 2021 is going to be a wonderful year. I didn't mind 2020. I'm kind of a homebody. I did a lot of camping, but I do miss the human contact with everyone. I think we all miss that. And hopefully we will be back at the Coffee and Pan Dulce table at Casa de Cano, maybe next fall.
Yeah, that's a good estimate. Yeah.
Because let's not fool ourselves. We still got to get through the vaccines. We still got to, protect each other. I want to thank, he wasn't able to join us today, someone who's been so important to our show this year, Dr. Baumfeld, who we call Dr. B. He's a retired neurosurgeon, lives in the South Park area. He has been our COVID-19 voice of sanity. helping us stay safe, giving us all advice on staying safe. He's part of the healthcare justice group, and a lot of his advice has kept me safe. I've taken 4 tests, all negative. I've tried to practice everything that I can. And so I want to thank him for everything that he's done, because it's different when you hear it from a physician like him than, and so forth. I even want to thank the people who have been on this show, like Stony Rushing, who we got lots of viewers, Matthew Reidenhauer, the Trump Mexican supporter,
Mexican, Chicano,
yes,
Latino.
the diehard Trump supporter who is against DACA and against them. Hey, you know what? That's what this show was supposed to be about, letting us hear your perspective so we can try to understand where you're coming from. And thank you, Barbara, for being on here. Thank you, Stephen, for taking Jeff Scott's place, but staying on here. It's great to have the libertarian perspective. And before we end, I want to leave on the libertarian perspective. The Libertarian Party, and especially Stephen, they have been telling us about qualified immunity, how that impacts brown and black people who are maybe shot by police. I don't know how else to say it. And the only people that were talking about that at the time was the Libertarian Party. It wasn't the Democratic Party, wasn't the Republican Party, it was the Libertarian Party. And the Libertarian Party are the only ones talking about immigration reform right now. Democrats aren't even talking about immigration reform. The Cato Institute is pushing the things that we need to do. So, Stephen, you talked about qualified immunity, and there was an article in the USA Today last week about the new Supreme Court and how they may actually start to look at overturning qualified immunity. Why is that important to us?
Yeah, so qualified immunity is an important issue that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, and most folks understand, or maybe they are aware of some of the knock-on effects of qualified immunity after the start of the Black Lives Matter protests going on a couple years ago. This year, when people saw George Floyd be strangled to death on the side of a street on that footage on the internet, people ask, why wasn't that cop arrested? Why were those cops not sued? And why does it seem like every time there's an instance of a bad shooting or an agent of the government of some kind violating the rights of fellow citizens, why does it seem like they never get punished? And that's because of a judicial doctrine called qualified immunity, which basically says that if you are working for the government and you're just following orders and you violate someone's rights, even when the court says it is clear that you violated this person's right, we're not going to hold you to account. This isn't law. This wasn't passed by Congress. This isn't in the Constitution. This is just something the courts made up. And it started back in, I think it was 62 or 63, and it's continued on to this day. And it's a really bad policy to have, because it means that the mechanism to getting rid of bad apples in police departments or government agencies simply isn't there. Like there's effectively no mechanism to get rid of the bad apples. And if you know the old nursery rhyme, a few bad apples spoils the whole bunch, right? So you want to get rid of those bad apples. And one of the things that might be nice about this particular case, the Supreme Court is going to hear a case that revolves around the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act. And as often happens, this might be just narrowly addressing that one instance where someone's is alleging their religious rights were curtailed by agents of the government. So it might not be a broad getting rid of qualified immunity, but if you chisel away at that bad edifice, that's a good thing. And Libertarian Congressman Justin Amash actually earlier in the year introduced a bill to end qualified immunity. And I believe it was a progressive Democrat, Ayanna Pressley, co-signed with him. And if I recall, they were the only ones who actually tried to do anything. And even though the Democrats controlled Congress, and even though there was an appetite in the White House to try to, get something going, because we all know that Trump just likes to, put a feather in his cap, The leadership in the Democratic Party decided not to move forward with it. The leadership in the Republican Senate certainly decided not to move forward with it. And basically, this unlawful shield continues for bad actors, and the rest of us citizens are the ones who have to suffer the fallout. And I hope in 2021 that there is more appetite to reform this aspect of our criminal justice system, so that law enforcement officers are not held to a lower legal standard than the rest of us. You know, they should at least be held to the same legal standard, if not higher. I'm hoping that we move the dial in a proper direction.
Excellent. Well, thank you for explaining that. And I don't mean to cut you short there, but we've run out of time, and I value everyone's time. And listen, and that is why I have been so grateful to have people who don't have the same political views as me. I'm a Democratic Libertarian, and I appreciate hearing what you have to say, and Barbara and Mama Ruth, who's independent, and the Republicans, and the other people that we've had on the show, Kyle Kirby, the presidential candidate running for office, Libertarian. We've had so many individuals, and it's great to hear their point of view, because so many times we're in our own little silos that just to get out. And that's why I say, if you want to run for office, a year before you run for office, just go sit in community barbershops, sports bars, Black churches, brown churches, white churches, and just hear what they have to say. Just listen. If you just listen to what they have to say, you will realize how much a lot of us don't really understand where they're coming from. Heck, a lot of my family are hunters. I just sit around listening to them talking about, oh, they want to take our guns away, and they got 20 guns. I'm just like, oh, they got to take all your guns away. So it's important. It's important that we listen to all of this stuff, and I do appreciate listening to what everyone has to say. So with that said, I forgot to salute our Pan Dulce sponsor. I did not bring any Pan Dulce. So we have Christmas cookies. Let's assume these are from Manolo's Bakery. We want to thank Manolo's Bakery for being our Pan Dulce sponsor, providing our Pan Dulce, our tres leche cakes, our conchas, everything, tamales, everything for the last 2 years. Please visit your Black and brown businesses, the small businesses in general in the Charlotte area or wherever you live. They need your support. Just go in there, grab some stuff. We try to do takeout at least 2 or 3 times a week, just as Dr. Fauci has done, so we can support them to keep them in business until we can get past this. So thank you, Manolo's Bakery, for everything that you do. And we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. Tell us in 30 seconds, tell us where you're going to be or anything you want to tell us, and then we will end the call. If you're on Zoom, if you will mind just staying on so we can thank you personally if you're still on. So Brady Bunch screen is Stephen, Mr. Ortiz, Barbara, me, Mayor Roberts, and Mama Ruth. Please tell us where you're going to be.
I'm Stephen DiFiore. I'm going to be hanging out at home. If you want to follow some fun Twitter threads, my Twitter thing is right there, right? And yeah, New Year's is coming up, so I'm going to hang out with some friends, but keep it small, keep it safe, and try to enjoy ringing in the new year in a responsible way. So there you go. That's what I got. Next.
In my case, on New Year's Eve, we're gonna have a nice dinner, carne en su jugo, Mexican style food, really nice. And on Friday, maybe I'm gonna have a Zoom meeting with a friend of mine in Mexico, which is one of the good things in this pandemic, that I've been in contact with my friends in Mexico. And I'm gonna just stay at home, and maybe I'm gonna try to go out to run a little bit. I need to move my body. Yeah, definitely. And read and listen music. Yeah.
Good for you. I'm a walker jogger, so I already did my 4 this morning. Pretty much staying home. I'm going to be the chef for tonight and New Year's Eve. This will be the first time since I've moved to Charlotte more than 20 years ago that I won't be attending a very close friend's New Year's Eve party, but we never ever once made it to midnight. So They're older than I am, and we don't make it to midnight, so I don't think I will either, but Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Next. Is that me?
Am I next?
Yes.
So I also will not be going out, will not be joining anyone in person. We'll probably have a Zoom with our daughter, who is a software engineer out in Oakland, California. So her New Year's is going to come later than ours. But we're definitely going for a hike on New Year's Day. We try to go to the beautiful mountains in North Carolina every New Year's Day, because it sets a great tone for the rest of the year, and it also makes me appreciate the beautiful nature that we have to all protect. So we'll be somewhere in the mountains on New Year's Day. Hopefully it won't be raining.
Excellent. Mama Ruth?
I think I'll be joining you, Mayor Roberts. I'm planning to take a trip to the mountains. We're gonna take my granddaughter to Gallenberg. Hopefully, we'll see. But I'm planning to stay home, small gathering if we have to. Probably not. And continue doing my Zumba. Y'all know that I've been challenging myself since I started in October, and I'm not giving up. And hopefully I'll see some changes. So keep myself energized, healthy, change of mentality of my food. By the way, se me apetece esa carne en jugo. I would love to taste that meat.
Ask my wife, Lupita.
Just
we're
the
gonna
Mexican style.
We're gonna keep a Tupperware for you. Don't worry about it.
I'll be eating buñuelos, I'll be eating barbacoa and tamales, that's for sure, for New Year.
Yes.
So y'all have a happy New Year's and very safe one, okay?
Yes, I will be here in Atlanta, Georgia. It will be the first time that I will not be spending New Year's Eve with my other half, but this is so much worth it. We knew this was a sacrifice my family wanted to make to do our little part. We didn't want to wake up on January the 6th and say, we could have done this or we could have done that. And so we're going to do everything we can to help anybody here. I'm going to crowd canvas tomorrow somewhere. I'll post it on my Facebook or do something. I'm going to do everything we can to lift people and say, hey, vote, vote, vote. It's not just about the Trump people with their flags. Also, I'm going to be looking for a place where I can buy some menudo. If anybody knows a place to buy some menudo, I need some menudo for New Year's Eve. So if you send me a note, if you know in Georgia, where I'm sure there is a place to find some really good menudo. I've had enough tamales for Christmas, so I'm going to take a tamale break for now. We will be back next Wednesday, which is the 6th, I believe. So we will know who the winner is of this election. And we will also probably be talking about all the buffoonery in Congress. I'm sure they're going to be trying to block the electoral college vote. I've decided that we should just treat them like little kids and go, all right, just throw your tantrum, get it out of your system. We'll come back when you get it out and then we'll vote, and so I'm just so over that. But the last thing I want to remind people is anyone who is upset that we have not passed $2,000 checks, which the checks really are our own tax money. It's not like we're asking for money. It's our own tax money. Corporations pay zero federal taxes, so they're getting our tax money. Anyone who's upset at your senator or your congressperson for not doing this $2,000, just think about this and we'll leave. They make $2,000 in about 3.5 days of work. 3.5 days of work is $2,000 to them. And they're
so shall we fight for the 2,000 or should we just stay quiet and receive the 600?
We shouldn't have to fight for anything. It's our money. And that's what's so bizarre is that we have to sit and beg for our own tax money. That's my libertarian in me, Stephen. So
I've been a good influence. You've made me proud. Made me proud.
It's my money and I need it now. That's J.G. Whitworth. I'm sorry. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
It's a good motto, though.
Yes, we are going to leave to this song that everyone may or may not know. Does anybody know who this is?
My favorite, Selena.
Yes. Thank you for joining us at Coffee and Pan Dulce. If you're on Zoom, stay on. We're going to disconnect from Facebook. Bye-bye.
Come here.